Hi, I'm Lisette Rodriguez.
And I'm Jeremiah Rodriguez.
And this is
Speaking Life Podcast, where we're inspiring hearts
and transforming minds.
So I have a question, and I'm going to start it off like this. Have you ever felt like God gave you a promise, but it's taking forever to show up? You've prayed, you've obeyed, waited, keyword, you waited, but nothing seems to move. The gap between promise and fulfillment can feel like the most frustrating place in the world. And that's what I want to speak about, being frustrated in the middle. So don't quit while you're in the middle. So I'm going to tell myself, I think I'm at a point in life where I'm extremely frustrated. Even though I have a lot of good things around me, I'm frustrated as far as like my job. I feel like my time is up. But I try to decipher whether is that my feelings or is that God ordained. So I just know in the middle of my frustration, I just know I'm created more than what I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Right.
So it's like God anoints you at one point, but you come into a situation and you're asking yourself, and it's not out of arrogance. You're just like, my anointing is just greater than this. Like, I don't know what this is about, but I know what God has given me or God has instilled in me is greater than this. And if I could snitch on myself, like, I even find it hard, like Pastor Danielle and Donnell were talking about the power of prayer. And I find it like a struggle to pray, even on the way to work. Like a mean struggle. Just because...
All the time or just...
Recently in my car. And it's more so, I think it's more so because I hate where I'm going. And honestly, I told Pastor Donnell this. I blame him because he has spoken over my life. Yeah, no funny. I was like, this is your fault.
Pastor Donnell, I hope you're not watching this episode.
No, I told him last night. I was like, I was going to let you know this is your fault. Because he has spoken over my life and saying, like, you're not going to have patience for disorder, unorganization. Like, you're going to have no patience for it. And that's okay. As soon as he spoke that over my life, it was like all hell broke loose. And frustration, like, sat in. Like, started to settle in the middle. And I'm just like, so I go to my workspace and I'm like, I see chaos. I don't see organization, and it drives me nuts. There's no preparation. There's no setup for success. You got people who think they know what they're doing, but they really don't know what they're doing. People who think, they're know-it-alls. Like, so my frustration is just, and it's affecting me in a way of like, I have a lot of things going on. My son's going to be born soon. My wife is healthy. I have a roof over my head. I have food on the table. Like, money's good. But at the same time, it's just like, I feel like I should be doing more than what I feel like I'm settling for. So inevitably, I'm frustrated. So as I'm like on the way to work, usually like I'll put on the Bible or I'll try to pray. I don't even feel like praying. It's just like, I don't know. Like, I'm so frustrated. I don't even want to speak. And that's what started like going in my mind. And I had developed a friendship with one of a pastor that I went to school actually with. And he's like, and I'm telling him my frustrations were, and he's like, have you spoken to God about this? And I'm like, you know what's funny, man? Nah, I didn't. I didn't. Honestly, I haven't. He's like, you probably should. Like, you probably should speak to God about this, because, I mean, if your goal is to be full-time ministry, that can happen. But you got to bring everything to the table to God first. Have a strategy in place. Have vision. So just be honest with God. Just tell him, yo, I hate where I'm going. I hate where I'm at. But in the middle of it, like, what are you trying to teach me? So like, I've been trying to pray in that aspect. Like, I'm very vulnerable. Like, God, I hate my job. I hate that I have to go here. But what are you trying to teach me? Because I'm not trying to be like the Israelites, going around the wilderness for 40 years. All because they didn't learn the lesson in the first place. Right. So my prayer is, even though I'm honest, I'm like, what are you trying to teach me? And please show me quickly, because I'm going nuts. So show me what I need to learn, and so I can move on. I need to move on. So help me to move on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I think you are in the perfect position.
I don't know about
Frustration is a great place. It's just you're not looking at it right.
Okay. All right. Explain it to me.
Okay. So been there, done that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm speaking to you from experience, right? In your frustrating seasons, And you said it earlier. You said, I feel like I've been called to more.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're frustrated. God gives us a glimpse of what's to come so that we can better prepare and be in a better standing to prepare for where we're going to go. So in other words, he lets you see a little bit of what's to come, knowing that you're not prepared to be there yet, in hopes that you're going to look at it and say, okay, well, right now I'm going to strategize. Right now I'm going to prepare. Right now I'm going to put things into place to develop me so that when the right time comes, because it's not a matter of it's coming or not. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of when.
Yeah.
Right? So God lets us see a little preview of the movie that's about to play so that it causes our interest to come to play. In other words, I'm so interested that now my interest is going to cause me to focus. It's going to cause me to focus on preparation so that when I come to that point in life, when I come to that place, I am prepared. Because the last thing you want is to prepare when you're already there.
True.
You should be prepared before you get in there. So place of frustration is an amazing place. And I learned that late in the game. So that's why I want to try to help you. Because I also had a job I could not stand. Like I think I've told you this before, right? I literally cried every day to work. I cried. I would call your father. I would cry. I don't want to go there. The people were mean. The atmosphere was horrible. It was just so bad. And I didn't understand that was my time for development. I didn't understand that was my time. Instead of focusing on my frustration and on my anger and on what was currently going on around me, I should have been focusing on what I needed to do in order to become what God called me to become. Mm. But I wasted a lot of time. Woe is me. Wow, I really hate this job. I don't know what God is doing, I really hate this. But it was only for a season. And when I finally, the light finally turned on, I was like, wait, let me prepare for what's to come. So that's when I really started to put things in place to prepare me for what I knew God had already placed within me.
That's good.
So now I look back in hindsight and I'm like, anybody that tells me that they're frustrated, I smile immediately. I'm like, you're in such a good place.
You must get them extremely mad.
Yeah.
Because I will be extremely mad. Like, what you smiling about? Why are you smiling?
But even now, while you were talking, I'm like, he's in such a good place. He just doesn't know it yet.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I think it's a matter of perspective, like you said. I mean, even here it says frustration is normal, but it's not final. Right. It's normal, but it's not final.
Right.
So it's not. So waiting doesn't mean God forgot. It means He's forming something deeper in you. So this is why I question God. I'm like, what deep? Like, I know everybody has more work to do. Like, right. That's like even becoming like doing things with the spirit of excellence. You're questioning first off, with the spirit of excellence, you're bringing your best, right. And then you question your best in the sense of like, all right, that was my best there, but how can I make it better? How can I improve on that? And okay, cool. Let's raise the bar. Raise the bar. So so I have to ask myself the real tough questions. Like, what in my life is either preventing me or prohibiting me from learning on how to improve? Because maybe in a certain season, things were working out. But I think, as you know, like every season requires a different version of you. And every season, I'm coming to learning this now, it requires a different strategy. Or let's say this, a different method. Because what may have worked in one season with a certain method, it's not going to always work in the next season with the same method. So like, I'm asking like, how can I change things up? And I'm even coming from the perspective that, again, my son's going to be born. I want him to have the best version of me. Not only do I want him to have the best version of me, but I want to set the tone and I want to set it strong. I don't want him to come into this world like, oh, my dad, even though he's probably not going to remember, but like, oh, my dad was frustrated when I was around. Nah, man, I was present for you and I'm happy, but I'm also developing me because it's not about me no more. It's about you. Like, so how do I better myself in the season, go through the middle, so that way I can be better and come out on the other side of it.
You know how many people are not mature enough or don't hold themselves accountable enough to ask themselves these type of questions?
Well, that's because they accept failure and they want to fail. I want to succeed. I want to win. So I know in order for me to win in this life, obviously it's God. Obviously God, my wife, my family, friends and stuff. But like, I have to ask the hard questions, because if I suck in the area, but I keep relying on my strengths, sooner or later, my weaknesses are going to pop out. You know what I mean? So like, how can I better myself? Like, what are some things I'm prohibited? It's like in the gym. Most of the time, like, we'll go to our strengths and not our weaknesses. Because in our weaknesses, we understand that we're not great at it. Right. But in our strengths, you're like, yeah, I'm good at this, so I'm going to keep going. No, you should have that attitude with your weaknesses, because guess what? That weak body part plays a part with every other part of your body. So how can I get my weakness to be as strong as my strength? Like, so I just need to be better. I can't do what I used to do and fall in love with complacency.
I get it. But, you know, once again, one of the things that my pastor always instilled in me, and I still keep it to the forefront to this day, is always remain teachable.
Yes.
Right? So what does that mean? That means that even on my best day, even on my best sermon, even on my best teaching that I think is the best, I'll still ask, how could I improve?
Yep.
What could I have done better? And I've seen many people that go ahead and preach or go ahead and teach and never ask that question because they don't want to hear the honest truth. And those people are never going to be able to grow or increase, right? Because you have to remain humble, but you have to remain teachable. In other words, it's never beneath me to ask, how could I do this better?
Yeah, it just makes you better.
Understanding that there's always room for growth because we are forever evolving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? We are forever becoming. So, you know, let's continue, like my man Paul said, right?
He's becoming my man too.
Until the day of Christ coming. In other words, I will continue to strive towards the mark until the day he returns. In other words, you're never going to have a moment or a time that you're supposed to remain idle or you're supposed to, hey, this is good enough. No, you're supposed to continue to improve, change, develop, because what worked in one season, I think you said it earlier, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work in your next season.
Absolutely.
So from this frustrating season, you're going to graduate, right? And once you walk into what God has called you to, frustration is going to settle in again.
But I'll have a different perspective.
Right? But I'm saying frustration is going to come in because it's never meant for us to stay there. It's meant for us, now that we've come to this part, now let's continue to develop. Let's continue to become. Let's continue to evolve so that we can now reach our next.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're never called to, oh, you know, I'm called to be a preacher. I'm called to, no, you're called to more than that. You know, preaching is a function.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not what you're called to. Preaching is a function. So what are you called to? Right? Because our greatest, what should I say, satisfaction, our greatest feeling like we're complete will be in fulfilling God's total will. What does that look like? And am I equipped to fulfill his will or his assignment for my life? We're all here on expired time.
That's facts.
Right? We have
time waits for no man. We
have a set time and a set date that you're not going to be able to go back. You're not going to be able to add on to. And for some of us that have already spent time erroneously, God will just accelerate it. And it's not that he's adding on to us. It's just that he's going to try to catch us up to where we should have been at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So when frustration settles in, just know, wait, this is a good thing because this means that I'm uncomfortable with where I am and it's going to be another growing spurt. So that means I have to now position myself. I have to strategize. I have to stretch. I have to be challenged. I have to hold myself accountable to a higher standard because God has more. And in order for me to get more, more requires more.
Absolutely.
Right? So you're asking all the right questions though. You're on it. Like you're asking all the right questions. What do I have to do? You know, what strategy do I have to put in place? what do I need to develop, right? Because there's a lot of different parts of us that need to be developed to prepare us to walk into what God has already ordained for us. So, you're asking yourself all the right questions, but the only thing I would tell you is don't focus too much on the frustration. Focus more on what's going to take you to your next, even though you're frustrated.
Yeah, I think it's easy to focus on the frustration because you get distracted with the physical eyes. Right. So like,
it's the opposite of faith.
It's obviously it's the opposite of faith, but it's like you need to look at things with a different perspective. I'm slowly learning that. It's simple to say, but sometimes harder to do.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to preach it. It's one thing to preach it. Like on Monday, I taught the young adults from the perspective of Paul. I think it was in Acts where the sons of Sceva try to borrow Paul's faith, try to cast out demons in Paul's name.
Right.
The enemy is saying like, hey, like Jesus, I know. Paul is a faith-filled believer, I know. But who are you?
That part.
Like, who are you? You're casting out.
Yeah.
I cast you out in the name of Jesus, whom Paul preaches. It wasn't who I believed in. It wasn't who I was rooted in. It was, no, I'm borrowing somebody else's faith because I don't know if I believe it. But more so like in the mind, I think what prevents us, especially, now that I taught it, I can understand it a little bit more. I thought I had it understood until like I applied it to me.
That's so good.
In our mind, we imprison ourselves. So we imprison ourselves and we surround ourselves. First off, we have the key to our own prison in our mind. That's one. Secondly, like what we do is we close the door and then we take the key and put it in our own pocket. We make ourselves our own prisoners. Freedom is a choice. It's a matter of perspective. So like while you're in a prison, you're surrounded by doubt, anxiety, toxic relationships, possibly toxic friendships and stuff of that nature. And it makes it even harder to come out of your own prison because you're not understanding like you're meant for more. It's it's a decision. It's like you said, more requires more. It's a choice. Freedom is a choice.
Right.
Just like worshiping Christ is a choice. Like being a reflection of him is a choice. But sometimes we choose in our own mind to like be surrounded. Like it's like you said before, oh, woe is me. Oh, well, this person's doing this and this person's doing that. Nah, like I have the key to my own prison. I can either look at this way or I can develop my own faith and you remember what the word says and come out of that prison. It's all a matter of choice. I have the choice to do that. So like preaching that on Monday, I felt confident in it. And then as I apply it to me, when we always have to apply, it's always harder. When I apply it to me, I'm like, all right. Not that this makes it any easier for me. I get it. I understand. I understand. I'm just trying to figure out what am I supposed to learn because I'm not trying to be my own prisoner. Like I'm not trying to be that. I'm not trying to be the sons of Sceva borrowing somebody else's faith. I think I'm way past that. But I just want to be so rooted. I'm reading about Paul. Paul's the man. Paul's the man.
He's the man.
That's her man, and it's slowly becoming my man. But he went from one season of like a frustration of his own, where he's like persecuting Christians, throwing men and women in jail, to now having this divine revelation and standing 10 toes on Christ. Like this is what I believe in. I believe in the one scripture. He says, the source I have, it doesn't come from human intelligence. It doesn't come from human resource. But no, I got my information from the source, Jesus Christ himself. So what I'm preaching to you is from God. So it's like it went from that, and it seems like in a blink of an eye, but it went from that to, oh, now I'm 10 toes down. So I just want to be 10 toes down. You know what I'm saying? Good. That's what I want to be. So how do I even improve and get better? And there's little things you can do. There's little things you can do while you're waiting. Be faithful in little things. Like, so for example, David's a prime example. He had a king's.
I like David too. He's my number 2.
Yeah, he's Mount Rushmore for me. One out of the 4 Mount Rushmore for me.
He's my number 2.
One out of so for him, he was anointed king, right? But he still had a shepherd's responsibility.
Yeah.
So like he was still faithful in that. So how can I be faithful in the little things? So I'm over here like dotting my I's and crossing my T's. I'm like, all right, I can still do this, and I can still do this with a spirit of excellence, and I can still do this with a spirit of excellence. I can only control what I can do now. Right. Because and I think we lose sight of that sometimes, being present, because we're so focused on the future. Like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But it's your present that dictates your future.
Right.
So if you don't focus on the now, how do you ever expect to fulfill the future?
One of the things you said it, and it's very key. So, there's different keys that unlock different doors. And one of the keys that we always have to make sure we have is the ability to hear God.
Yes.
Clearly, right? Because when we don't hear God clearly, we do what the men did. And we try to imitate outwardly what others have done. That's why they say, they went and they tried to rebuke the demons, and the demons are like, hold up.
Who are you?
Who are you? Paul, I know.
Yeah.
But who are you?
Yeah.
That's a classic act of doing as you see and not as you hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we need to be careful that we're not doing or following what others are doing, but that we have the key to hear God clearly. God, what are you asking me to do in this season? Mm-hmm. Right? Because hearing God is going to be key as to where we're going. So if we're only depending on what we're seeing, that's why the opposite of faith is sight. Yeah. Because if we're going to be depending on what we're seeing, okay, they're doing this, maybe that'll work for me. Or, they're doing that over there, maybe that'll work for me. Or I heard this preacher over here is doing this, maybe that'll work for me. No, what is God telling you for you?
Yeah.
Right? Because every part of the body has a function. So how is my hand going to do what was intended for my foot to do?
Yeah.
It's not going to work unless I have clarity and I know whose direction I'm hearing from. So sometimes our frustration comes because of lack of hearing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's like you said it earlier. You said, I haven't spoken to God about that. Can it be because we're not focused on the right thing?
Yeah.
So when we're not focused on the right thing, frustration has a way of settling in a season that was meant to develop us. It'll cause us to waste time, and that's the danger. Wasting time in a season where you were supposed to be developed. So you're always training at the gym, right? So if you're going for one of those contests, right? Bodybuilding
contests, like
right?
Never do that, but yeah, I
right,
understand what you're saying.
But I've known actually a couple of girls. There's this one girl that I graduated high school with, and she's a bodybuilder, and she went through a couple of competitions, and I watched the work that she put in. Mm-hmm. So it's not enough to do in front of others what you've seen done. It's what happens in the secret place. And
that goes to my point, because I said this on Monday. People want public power without private discipline. And that's what the sons of Sceva had. They didn't have the private discipline, but they wanted the public power to cast out the demon.
Right.
So that's why the demon stepped to him, was like, Jesus, I know. Jesus mopped the floor with Satan.
And Paul,
I know. He's a faith-filled believer, but you? Who are you? Like, there's no level of intimacy. So who are you? Have you ever asked
yourself the question, how did he know them if he wasn't watching?
That's the thing too, because he's not, and that, like, even, and here's another perspective, like, demons believe in God.
Right.
So, and sometimes demons believe in God more than we do.
Oh my God, that's such a scary thought, but it's so true.
Demons believe in God more than we do. So they already know the authority.
Yeah.
So, and we take his authority for granted. So he's looking at Jesus like, Jesus, I know. Paul, he's a faith-filled believer. I know his intimacy.
I've seen his intimate moments. I've seen him crying. I've seen him seeking God. I've seen him fasting. I've seen him shipwrecked. I've seen him naked. Yes. I've seen him imprisoned. Because in all of these dark places, Paul still had a praise on his lips.
Absolutely. I mean, so much so, I think I think it was either Acts 13 or Acts 14, he was so in tune with the Father that even an apron or a handkerchief that touched him, and somebody would take that item and throw it on somebody else, it would heal them instantly. Why? Because he was so in tune with the Father. He was so anointed that it didn't even matter. And I think it wasn't even another scripture. It was like
Peter's shadow.
No, not Peter's shadow. But Paul sees a lame man, and he looks at the lame man, doesn't even say anything to him, but knows the lame man has faith enough to be healed. So he tells him, stand up and walk. That's what he tells him. And for the first time, and I think over 15 years or 15 to 20 years, the man begins walking. All because he was in tune. But that was a level of intimacy that the sons of Sceva tried to borrow. It wasn't that they created on their own. Or imitate. There you go. Imitate. So like, that's why the demons are like, yeah, I don't know you. There's no sense of intimacy. I think I know scripture more than you do. I know God's presence more than you. So who are you? Why are you stepping to me? Are you sure? And this was my title for Monday. It was time out. You're gaining too much ground.
Wow.
Time out. You're gaining too much ground. And it's inspired by my GOAT, Stephen Wardell Curry of the Golden State Warriors, because in a game against the Denver Nuggets, he had shot a 3 to tie the game. And he celebrated, but he told the opposing team, y'all need to call timeout. That's disrespectful.
Wow.
Like you need to call timeout because I'm on fire. So I preach from the perspective that you need to tell the enemy, you need to call timeout because I'm gaining too much traction.
Wow.
You need to call timeout because I'm here. You need to call timeout. Why? Because I have authority. So when your demon steps out to me, they can say, I know him. Matter of fact, I know him. I don't got a question. I know him.
That's
so
good.
So you gotta call timeout.
That's good.
So in my middle of my frustration, I'm like, all right, I gotta give the enemy reason to call timeout. Right now, I feel like he winning, and it's not even. And sometimes we give the enemy too much credit. Sometimes it's just us. It really genuinely is just us. So it's like, all right, I need to say timeout to my frustration and think with a sober mind.
Right.
Renew my mind. Like I am built for this. I'm cut from a different cloth. God has ordained me an heir to the kingdom, so I need to act like it. I need to walk like it, even in the midst of my frustration.
So that's why sometimes in my mentorship group, I'll tell some of the ladies, why are you laughing?
I thought about that Facebook post, like, oh, what did your pastor say?
Really? See what I have to deal with? Are y'all paying attention to this?
So in my mentor group, I lead a bunch of women. It's called Reset Her. Where my Reset Her women? Ooh!
You're a hater, and it doesn't even look good on you.
Nah, I love you. I love you.
It's just
so funny. It's just so funny. What? It's funny because you do say that. What's wrong with that? You advertising what you do. You do a lot for the women. Yeah, all right. Reset Her. I'll be listening sometimes while I moved out, so I don't hear too much.
Anyway. Now you made me forget what I was going to say. I hope you're happy.
Oh, see, frustration. You see that? Frustration can get you distracted off course. God is good.
See, right now, I am frustrated. Because he cut me off.
What were you going to say?
I don't know.
Frustration.
What were you saying last? To see if I could...
you said this too. Faithfulness in obscurity builds strength for visibility. Because it's like you said with your friend that went to the gym or she was bodybuilding. It was in a private place. It was in an obscure place where she was able to develop who she is, physically. But that's what Paul did too. He developed in an obscure place. That's what David did. He developed in an obscure place. That's what Joseph did. He developed in an obscure place. And I think Joseph's one of the Mount Rushmores for me too. Because even though he was sold into slavery, became head of Potiphar's house, then wrongfully accused, thrown into prison, then became second in command of Egypt.
His steps were ordered.
And the thing is, if you read scripture, it says like he was always in communion with the Father. But what I also have to question about Joseph, even though that's great and that's awesome, he was rooted. You had to be frustrated, because for me, if my own flesh and blood threw me into prison because you were jealous.
Yeah, but sometimes frustration comes in when you don't understand.
Oh, sure, but I'm still gonna be frustrated.
Yeah, because you don't understand.
I mean, I think Joseph was gonna be cooked either way because he still had to save the whole nation, and that's what God ordered his steps for. But man, in his humanity, I would have been like, what is going on?
Just proof that sometimes our frustration is led by God himself.
Oh, that's good. Expand on that.
Because he will take us through the valley to try to develop us in the valley to then bring us to the mountaintop. So when we're trying to get to the mountaintop, because we've seen the mountaintop, our goal and our objective is the mountaintop. We have to understand that we cannot avoid the valley season.
Yeah.
You cannot get to the mountaintop without going through the valley first.
That's good.
And many times we're so focused on being seen that we forget that we have to be unseen.
That's good.
In order to later on then be seen.
That's good. That's really good.
I'm gonna start charging you.
Charging me for what?
Because I would have said this at Reset Her.
Yeah, just to let you know.
Where's my Reset Her, guys?
She runs a mentorship program called Reset Her for all the women out there. Please tap in. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like we want to be seen so bad, not understanding that there's a backside and front side to every blessing.
Right.
With more fame comes more persecution. Right. With more love comes more hate. With more light comes more heat.
Right.
So if like most of us are, I won't say most of us, but some people want to be seen publicly, whether it be social media, a platform, not understanding they're going to a place where their character can't keep them. That
part.
So like God, that's why the obscure place is so important because it's developing you. So by the time if it be God's will that you get to that platform, you're on social media, you're influencing others, you're in the leadership program, whatever it may be. Your character can hold everything God wanted you to have to begin with, because a blessing at the wrong time is still a curse. So God wants to make sure you can withstand the blessing.
And I've been observing that because there's many people, well, not many, there's a few that I do follow on social media platforms with big names. But you know what I've always noticed? That these people with big names or large followings, when somebody has something negative to say about them and they write under one of their posts or something like that, I've never seen them lower themselves enough to go back and retaliate.
That's true. I can say that by a few people. Pastor Anthony Mitchell, Pastor Jerry Flowers, Pastor Mike Todd. He gets ridiculed a lot, but doesn't rebuttal. Like I recommend them, and because I saw an interview with Pastor Mike, and I think somebody said, like, you see all the comments and stuff like that. I think it was more so about, this is more so about what he was wearing. They try to say he was like flamboyant, like, oh, you're flamboyant. But he was saying, he's like, that stuff doesn't bother me, because when I was heavier, because he lost a lot of weight, got into the gym, and he's serious about his fitness now. But he said, when I was heavier, I was wearing the same thing and nobody had a word to say. But now that I'm a little bit more fit and, I want to wear certain things, now it's a problem. So he's like, I don't rely on people. I rely on God. Like, I'm doing God's work, and that's all that matters. People are always going to have something to say.
And I've caught myself trying to reply to some of those negative comments. Not about me, about, those well-known people like, Ron Carpenter, Kevin Wallace. I'll see people write negative comments, and I'll go to reply to those people like, hey, how dare you, blah, blah, blah. And then I delete it all because I'm like, wait a minute. They're not even trying to, defend themselves. I'm not going to put myself out there because you know what? Ignorance will always be ignorance.
That's true. You better than me, because I had time one day. And there was this one specific page. I have no idea how I got on top. That's on its page or whatever. And I just looked at the profile because they were talking negatively about Pastor Michael Todd. So I was just curious because a lot of people do, whatever. So I went on his page, and on his page you just see it's all Pastor Mike Todd. Now, in my mind at the time, I'm like, if you want to be consistent, you can't call out one pastor and not call out a whole bunch of others, because there's a lot of pastors you can call out. If that's your prerogative, preference or whatever. But it was just only him. So I had time one day, and I was like, you know what?
You didn't.
Yes, I did it with love. I did it with love. But what I said was, and I didn't delete it, I sent it. What I said was, I'm getting tired of other Christians knocking other Christians. Right. When we're supposed to be the light of the world, when we're supposed to be building others and loving. Right. And I said, this was my point. If you don't know the person, you have no right to correct. Yes, you have a right to judge whether it's received for you. Absolutely. But if you don't know that person personally, if you're not in their circle, what gives you the authority to go talk negatively about somebody else? Right. That stuff drives me insane. And people get money doing that and stuff of that nature. I had time. I was like, no, we won't do this. But then I blocked the person because I was, you know what? It really doesn't matter what I have to say, because people are going to think what they want to think anyway. You can give them evidence until you're blue in the face. They don't care.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice, and they have it. But, my point was that, a lot of times us believers, that we call ourselves believers or we call ourselves Christians, we cause ourselves the greatest harm Like, I don't need an outsider to say anything negative because we got that down pat.
Yeah.
We criticize each other. Listen, I mean, sometimes it's horrible to see, like, and I get it. You're entitled to your opinion because that's what it is. It's your opinion, it's your thought, and that is your right. But if we were mature enough, we would understand that by many times posting that, if you don't have a personal relationship with this individual, then there's no reason to post your negativity or your negative thoughts about what they're saying or about what they're doing. Why? Because you're only hindering the body.
That's it.
And chances are, especially these people with large followings, they're not going to go back and read, who are you? At the end of the day, who are you? They have a large following for a reason. So, then there's always that. So what's left behind? People that are reading these comments and are looking at believers and Christians saying, they're always against each other. Like, why would I want to serve a God where people are always against each other? Like, it just hinders the kingdom instead of blesses it. You know what I'm saying? So, unless you know this person or this individual personally, at that point, you would take it up with them in person. Like, hey, I have a difference of opinion.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that's what the Bible tells us to do.
But to do it on social media or to bring out people's dirty rags on social media, for what? Because really, I know people love the gossip and it entertains them, but the reality is it's a reflection of your character.
Absolutely.
Because you have none. But
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to leave that alone because obviously that causes frustration.
And I was just about to say, not only can your situation can be frustrating, but people can be frustrating.
Right.
But guess what we still have to do? Love them.
Love them. And that's frustrating.
Love them when they get you angry. Love them when
love
they do
them
you
even
wrong.
when you want to beat them.
Jesus said, love your enemies.
Yeah, that part.
And that's the hardest thing to do. You have to love your enemies. Why? Because Jesus did the same thing. Even when he died on the cross, he said, forgive them for they know not what they do.
And love is a what? Action word.
Come on, man.
So it's not only about saying it with your lips. Oh, I love them. No. What have you done lately to show love towards them, for them?
And I'll end it with this question. I have a really good question. What if your waiting season is actually your becoming season?
Wow.
What if your waiting season is actually your becoming season? You don't have to answer it, but there's something to reflect on, because I think in the midst of our frustration, our vision can get cloudy, and also our mind can get a little distorted too. So asking God for clarity and asking God, hey, what do you want me to learn right here, right now? Because right now, without a sober mind, I don't see a way out of this. But if you can give me your clarity, your vision, your heart, what you want me to see, waken my spiritual eyes, then I can, be better about serving in the middle of my wait.
And if I can tell somebody something, I would tell them your waiting season is your development season. It's your season of preparation for that which you are waiting for. So whether you're waiting for a husband or a wife or a job or, whatever it is you're waiting for from God, make sure that you have already prepared to receive the exact thing you're waiting for, because sometimes we're waiting and guess what? We're going to remain waiting because we're not prepared. And one thing you're never going to receive is something you're not ready for. So your waiting season is your development season.
And a lot of people think patience is the ability to wait, which is not true. It's actually the attitude you maintain while you wait.
That part.
So what is your attitude? How are you serving in the middle of the wait? How can you change your attitude in the middle of the wait? How can you change your attitude in the middle of frustration? So that way you can fix on, as our man Paul likes to say, run this race, because guess what? It's going to produce endurance. Right. You want to run the race well.
Yeah.
Not that we have it all figured out, because this life is not about a perfect one. It's about progression. The enemy doesn't care about your start. He cares about your progression. So if you continue to go, then you're going to give the enemy reason to call timeout, because now you are gaining traction, even in the middle of your frustration.
So I hope that this episode has blessed you in some kind of way. And if it has, if you could do me a favor, send it to someone, share it, like it, subscribe. So that way we can continue to develop or bring to you this type of content that would edify you in your spirit, soul, and mind.
hit that subscribe button. I think that's the most important part. And that bell. See that bell? Hit that bell so you get the notifications when episodes are coming out. So that way, like my mother just said, so that way we can speak life into you and speak life into others. That's why you got to share the message. Share the gospel. It's easy. We're doing it electronically. You can do it.
All right. See you next week.